definitely not alone. I've been there. I'm sure many parents would have been there. So, what do we do? How do we build the trust? But then, why do I say it's only because of lack of trust that they don't listen to us? Let me explain that to you. Today's one thing will be 10 simple things that you can do to gain trust in your child. If you are a parent of a young child and a teenager, or maybe a grown up child, you may want to use this. These are not entirely ours. These are some best practices that we have observed with the best of best parents that we have seen from our own parents, from our own experiences also. So, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 simple things that you can put into practice in your life. But it will take time. You will have to get this in practice, and then you will have to demonstrate it at the right time, and then the other person also have to receive it correctly. So it's a process, it's a journey. So are you ready? If you're watching this video in my YouTube channel, please subscribe this so that you will get notified for future episodes. And if you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, please hit that love button so I will know that this is useful for you. My name is Brinda Kalyan Raman, and you're watching TOT series. So, how do we build the trust in the child? The first three things that I'm going to say is my favorite. So, the first thing is listen more, talk less. I know it's a little tough. It's very tough for parents, especially for a parent, because we want the child to listen and talk less. It's the opposite. When you're able to listen more, you're able to understand their cues, their intentions, their interests, their thoughts, their expectations sometime. And you can always modify your communication style. You can, be able to build that right kind of rapport so that you exactly know when to say what. So, listening more is a key, especially when you have to gain that trust. Give that pause, give that silence, give that time for that child to be heard. Once they know that they are heard, they will definitely give that chance for us to be heard. Try this out. The second thing is empathy versus sympathy. The child doesn't need, most of the times they don't need our sympathy, they want our understanding. Empathy is a whole spectrum of things in it. There's listening, there is understanding, there are many things when it comes to empathy. But to put it simply, when you have to compare what sympathy and empathy, it's the understanding. For example, there was one time where my daughter came and said, "Mom, my hands are paining," because from 7:30 onwards she has to log in. By the time she hits 1:30, 2 o'clock, she will have to complete the school and also the school work. Only then she can log off. So by the time she came to us, her hands were paining. There's a lot of activities that she did on that day, especially when it comes to homework. There's so much work of dragging and editing and all that. At this young age, they are, operating on computers, screen time, and everything added up. She came back, she said, "I'm tired, I don't want to do anything." I just told her, just drop everything and close down. Do whatever you want to without using hands. "Amma, are you sure about this?" I said, "Yes, please drop all that. You don't have to do the homework. You can always do it later." She was surprised to listen, to hear this from me. And she said, "Amma, I thought you will want me to complete this and then move on." I said, "Yes, maybe days where you're okay about it, you can always do. But then when you're in real pain, you must take a break." So when this understanding came from me, she was surprised. She came, she hugged me, she said, "I'm surprised." I said, "Why not?" Because when you're able to express, well, it's our responsibility to respect that. And I said, just close everything and do whatever you want for a break. So, this one small incident, this few moments of understanding, few words of understanding, had made a huge impact on her. After that incident, she was always all ears for me. She said, "Okay, Ma, although I don't like, but then I'll do it." We never had problems in those areas. Then the third thing is walk the talk. That means what you preach, what you teach, you do that, you practice also. The kids are very keen to observe. They all the time observe. They learn only through observations. and they will watch over you. When you have certain principles, when you want the certain code of honor in the family, you better stick to it. You make sure that you walk that path. And if you're not able to, at least tell them, express them, there are certain situations that I'm not able to. And you should also be able to accept their, you know, default times where they're falling short of those principles. See, for example, we have this principle in our family that we finish one thing and then buy the next one. It when it Whether it comes to a toothpaste, or dress, wardrobe, or any single thing in our house, we first finish that and we take the new one. We apply this principle to all things around us. So the child watches us. So I make sure that I do this in every sphere of, our life. Otherwise the child will definitely spot us. So these three things are my favorite, and it's working out well. Because I do this one thing, the child knows that when Amma says something, she is also doing it. So, which means it will be good for me when she says something. So, I might as well want to listen to her. Okay. This is one way of gaining the trust in them. Then, the next three things are my husband's favorite. So, what he says, I went and asked him, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this topic. So, what are best practices that you think that you have gained the trust in the child? He said the first thing that he wanted to always portray himself to the child is he'll be the first friend for her. He has lived like that so far. Luckily, the COVID season has proved it so much that they have built a strong relationship because of the intimacy, the proximity that they have been together. So he means it when he says that. So I agree upon parents has to be their first friend, the first people that they can come out and share it openly. The second thing what he shared was being there for her always. We have a 7-year-old kid, and it's a daughter. So despite of it, he spends a lot of time playing around, you know, being there for her just like a friend. So that even when she grows up, he wants to make sure that he's there all the time, that she can lean on her father. She knows that there'll be two people in the world, no matter even the entire world turns against her. So when he said this, I asked him one thing. Although I respect his values, then I asked, why do you want the world to change against her? Why would you want the child to go to the extent? We had a laugh about it, but then I got what he wants to convey, being there for the child. Then the third thing is, do not correct your child near their friends or known ones. This he has observed in the child, and he has observed during his experiences, uh, you know during his time that he shared with the child. Do not abuse or do not correct them near their friends. It's going to create a huge impact in them. They will not be able to express this out, but then it's going to be pile up. It's going to be a real baggage for them. It'll definitely pile up, and when they grow up, because they are unable to express, it might even explode. So please make sure you're not correcting your child near everybody. It's very tough for a parent, because usually we relieve our mistakes, our embarrassment on the child. When we have the child around, when they are mischief, and somewhere we feel that we're going to be embarrassed, we will definitely take it on them. So this is a usual thing I've seen in parents. But please make sure, if you have a teen in your family, or even if the child is above 7 years, because 7 years and above is when the child will start developing the personality, their own personality, likes and dislikes. Respect that, and please ensure that you have this, at least this one thing. Out of all the 10 things that I'm going to share, this one thing is the most important one. The next thing is ask versus tell. There's a whole difference. When you want to convey something to your child, maybe expressing your expectations, or warning them, telling them do's and don'ts, please ask their opinion. Please ask them what they would do in that situation. Please ensure that they come up with solutions. Even when I have some problem, I ask her. I know that she cannot, at her age, she cannot think through, and she has to tell me a solution. But the moment I ask her, the reason that I have asked her, she gives that attention, and she sincerely tries to tell me, you can do this, you can do that. She'll come up with 10 options. The next time when I have that same problem, she's going to understand me more. So just because I ask her, she is able to build that trust. It's a mutual trust. And it's the same way when we are planning something, when we want to buy something, or when we want to go for a vacation, when we want to do something, we ask her. We ask her choices. Even when we want to shop, we ask her to choose. So, giving them choices, giving them an option to choose. Of course, we will give them the options because a child may not know what is there. So, we tell them the pros and cons. Before we tell them this is what you have to do, this is what you do not have to do, we tell them what is the pros and cons. We ask them to choose either this or that. If you choose this, these are the things. If you choose that, these are the things. And we leave her to her choice. So by doing this, if she has some knowledge about it, if she's able to take a decision, she will do it. Otherwise, most of the time she'll say, Amma, you take that call. Appa, you tell me what to do. You tell me where to eat. You tell me what to eat. Whatever it is. So the point was giving them the choice. So we saw ask versus tell, and we also saw giving them the choice. And the next one is try not to use direct no's. No, no. Instead of telling them no, you can't do this. No, can't, don't. Instead of using those words, you can try different things. I asked the same thing to my child. I said, Mira, you know what? I feel so bad every time I end up saying no. The child has not taken me, wrong, because she already has a trust in me. And she trusts that when I say something, it's good for her. Now that the trust is built, I want to be cautious about those languages that I use. So I asked her, what is the best way to say no, Mira? Then she came up and saying, when you want to say no, you can always say not really, Mira. I really found it very good and I started using it. And I also learned one more hack from my mentor. How do we say no effectively? When you want to say no to your child, when he or she asks you something, take a pause and say, well, yes, but no for now. There is a time. We can always do this, but there is a time. You're telling them it is possible, but not now. So these two hacks definitely work. When you want to say no, you can use different words for it. The best word, what we found out, was not really, instead of saying no. And you can also say yes. If it's really possible, say yes. Otherwise, don't say yes. And also add a word saying may not be now. Yes, but not now. Now that I shared with you what are my things, what are my husband things, I'm also going to share with you what is my child's expectations from us as a parent. The first thing that she will say is stick with your commitment. When I commit some time for her, when I say I'll do this, I'll come and play with you for after 2 hours, I'll have to stick with that because she gets hurt when I don't do that. Right? With me, it's been smooth so far. I commit only when I know I can do it. So she's also very particular and she gets hurt and she's very clear enough to communicate. Don't do this. When you can't do this, don't commit. I'm okay if you don't commit. You can tell me roughly here and there, but don't commit exact time. We are absolutely okay about this, and we will always remember this one thing when we have to deal with her. And the last one that I'm going to tell you, be truthful to the child because the child is always observing you. Speak truth all the time, either about them or about somebody else to them. They are always all ears. They will exactly know what you speak here and what you speak other side when you are around them. So please be truthful. Have that conviction time. Commit only what you can and do only what you can. Speak only what you know and do only what you know. So let me give you a recap. First, listen more, talk less. Second, empathy versus sympathy. The child needs more empathy, not sympathy. Third, walk the talk. Do what you preach. The fourth, be their first friend on earth. Fifth, be there for them ever. Sixth, do not correct them near their friends. Seventh, ask versus tell them. It's good to ask them instead of telling them all the time. Eighth, give them the choice. Ask them to choose. Ninth, don't use words like no, can't, don't all the time. Try to say no differently. The last one, be truthful. Everywhere, all the time, around your child, even otherwise. And there are two bonus tips that I want to share. First one is prepare them. If you prepare the child, if you set the expectations just before you are taking the child to somewhere, or just before you're taking them to a shopping or a vacation, set the expectation. I know it's very difficult for you to keep conversing with them and ask them to listen, especially when there is a lonely child. It's okay, but if you have two or three children, they're not going to stop by and listen to you. I know it takes a lot of effort, but it's best to set their expectations. You got to constantly communicate. So if you do this, just because you had already told them what they are supposed to be doing and how we are supposed to be spending time together, they're already prepared. So it's not going to definitely give them an impact also. So try doing this. Prepare them. Preparing our own self is also important. How we have to deal with the child. So that neither of us are working on autopilot. Then the second bonus tip is understand them. Know their one big word. I'm talking about values. You may want to ask me, it's just a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old. They will not know the importance of it. As I already said, they already have become a personality. They have a character now. So it's best to know them, what their likes, dislikes, interest, expectations, and accordingly change your approach. In personal development, education, there's something called transactional analysis. For it's a great tool for communication. We operate in three egos: parental, adult, and child. The child ego always demands certain attention, certain things. They're always like that. A child will always remain a child. But then, if you bring them to an adult ego, which means instead of being a parent ego is always like, don't do this, don't do that, telling. Instead of being that, if you come down to asking them, you're actually operating in adult ego. And when you operate in adult ego, the child might sometime want to come to an adult ego instead of being in the child ego. So I hope this is one great tip. If you use this and if you're able to, find that rapport, find that frequency, you are naturally able to gain the trust in the child. And when you gain the trust, automatically the respect is shown and they're going to listen to you forever. If you have become that one person in their life that they can trust somebody entirely, this is the most precious gift that you can give, to your child. Because bearing the child is one thing, but bringing up them is like 20 years project. It's a 20 years of commitment and you cannot afford to do mistakes. If you like this video, if you found this very useful, please don't stop by just watching this video. Do two things for me. One is to share or tag somebody whom you think it's going to be beneficial. Because all of us need this. Be that inspiration for somebody. Second, commit to yourself. Take any one of these 12 hacks, 12 tips that we have shared. Commit that one thing in your life for the next 24 hours. You cannot expect results because a relationship takes time. Trust takes more time. Give that time, give that benefit of doubt, and practice the commit yourself for the next 24 hours, no matter what happens. And then 1 week, 1 month, make this as a lifestyle. Until I see you in the next episode, take care.